So I saw Alien Covenant, and I'm not quite sure how I feel about it. It does have some elements that I like, but it also has a lot of other stuff that was transferred over from Prometheus that make me not like it as much. I watched through all of the Alien films, excluding the Alien vs. Predator films, before seeing this, and I think really the only thing you really need to see is Prometheus if you want to see this, because it pretty much is a direct sequel to Prometheus. And if you haven't seen the original Alien and Aliens, just watch those. Alien Covenant takes place 10 years after the events of Prometheus. It follows a colonist ship headed for a planet called Origai 6. But after an accident happens outside of the ship, the android attending to the ship wakes up the crew. They get to repairing the ship, but they receive a transmission from a nearby planet. The transmission sounds human, and it's from a planet that looks very habitable, even more so than Origai 6. And the planet is much closer, only a few weeks away rather than 7 years. So when they arrive, some of the crew go down to check it out. Some of the crew get infected, and that of course leads to aliens attacking people. If the plot sounds very similar to the first Alien, at least for the first half of the movie, it is. It's very, very similar. I like a lot of the ideas that they're trying to revisit in this movie, especially from the ideas that they had with Prometheus, which I thought was kind of dumb because I just watched that before going to see this movie. And I thought it had some very interesting ideas in the movie, but just weren't executed very well. I'm probably going to talk about spoilers now to elaborate what I mean by that. So if you don't want any spoilers, just skip to this time. I'll give you a little time to skip. So, waiting. Okay, so if you haven't skipped, spoilers. One thing the movie starts out with is a prologue with a younger Wayland and the android David from Prometheus. And they talk a lot about creation, and David asks Wayland why does he want to find his creator. I think that the themes of creation and something like the origin of humankind can fit well in a sci-fi series, but I don't think it has like any place in something like Alien. This movie at a lot of times feels like two separate movies. Watching Prometheus right before Alien Covenant, I definitely appreciated some of the continuity a bit more, but the tone and the pacing of those two films feel like an entirely different franchise. Ridley Scott really wants to take away like all of the mystery from the original film and just try to explain everything that you saw. There is still a bit of mystery there as far as the engineers and stuff from Prometheus, but as far as like this movie goes, it's pretty much about David, the android, and him making the aliens. Like, he wants to make this perfect life form, and he keeps like redesigning it. And there are some good exchanges with him and the other android Walter, and they have a really excellent fight, which is pretty cool. But there's a twist with them that you can see like coming from like a mile away. You probably already know what it is just by me telling you. But I mean, this is the spoiler section, so you probably already know. I do think it's an interesting concept for an android that humans created to start playing God, but it doesn't feel right in the Alien franchise. If anything, I think Ridley Scott should have made that its own film rather than forcing it into this franchise, and trying to make it fit in with the rest of the films. End of the spoiler section. Welcome back. So other than those thoughts that I had in the spoiler section, I do have some thoughts generally about the movie without spoilers. First of all, this movie takes no time to get going. They get infected pretty quickly. That can be either a good or bad thing depending on who you are. For me personally, it is kind of a bad thing, mainly because it doesn't really have a lot of tension throughout the movie. I actually thought Life from earlier this year had a better sense of suspense than this movie did, and ironically, that made it the better Alien movie. I do like the characters enough, but unfortunately a lot of them die really, really quickly, and a lot of them I had no sympathy for because they did some insanely stupid things. One thing that really irked me about this movie is that when they get to the planet, they're not wearing suits when they go outside. I don't think they even say that it's breathable. They just said it's a habitable planet. They don't know if it's breathable or not. They don't even say it before they go outside. So, like, why are you just going outside on this foreign planet you don't know anything about without a suit? I guess they're following suit with the dumb scientists in Prometheus. Following suit. Yeah, without suits. There's also a lot of horror movie cliches that they use that don't really work anymore. I'm talking about things that were common in the 70s and 80s, like, you know, going somewhere alone, or showering naked. The guys at Double Toasted actually said that this is the movie that Scream was talking about. The action in the movie, however, is pretty cool when it is there, but there's not a lot of it. And there are a lot of scenes that seem very copy-pasted from previous Alien films. As far as other good things I can say about the movie, Well, the visual effects are pretty good. Some of the stuff out in space looks really good. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of that. It's mostly on the planet. And come to think of it, a lot of it's in broad daylight on the planet, which doesn't really seem very scary. Then there's the score of the film, which is really good. It's very similar to the original Alien. Unfortunately, the original composer isn't with us anymore, so the composer they got for this was actually really good. As to whether you will like it or not, I think that depends on a couple of things. If you really love Alien or Aliens and want to check this out, I'd probably say pass it. But if you liked Prometheus, even just a little bit for the concept of it, then I'd say give it a watch at some point, because it's really more of a sequel to Prometheus than it is a prequel to Alien. And if you do plan on watching it, I would say at least see Prometheus before you see this, just for the continuity of it all, because there are quite a few callbacks to Prometheus. So if you've seen Alien Covenant, tell me what you thought down in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Well, by now we're getting a bit used to winter. We're like soldiers in the middle of a campaign, growing hardened to discomfort and better able to take